So we are live. I want to welcome Rachel Warrell to the Real Estate is Local podcast. You're my first guest. Welcome, Rachel. How you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Colin. I am so excited to be here and so excited to do this. I love your social media. I think you're killing it and really excited to collaborate with you.
Heck yeah, that's the whole point, right? And so, I think what we'll do is, we'll just get right into it, right? I've got a couple segments here. We'll try to keep it short and simple for the
Sure.
audience, and obviously get some good social media clips along the way. And
Let's do
so,
it.
awesome. So segment number one is going to be, guest spotlight. So, let's start with you, Rachel. Where are you from?
So I'm from Pensacola, Florida, originally, the Florida Panhandle. And that is about 2 hours west of where I currently live, which is Panama City Beach, 30A, Destin, Florida, if you're familiar with that area.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard. Well, I've seen your Instagram. I know the beaches there are just absolutely
I
incredible.
love to
You can see
show
my
it off.
background here. Nice.
Yes. Well, we have some of the world's most beautiful beaches, and I love to show it off.
I love it. That's awesome. It makes for good content and certainly keeps me entertained. So what inspired you to start this real estate journey? What inspired you to get into the business?
So, Colin, this is real estate is something that I had wanted to do for a very long time. Actually, graduated college in 2009. The market had crashed, and I, had asked people I know, my dad. I'm like, I want to get into real estate, and he's like, "What? Why would you want to do that? The market's crashed." Everyone said that, but that is, a reasonable answer to I guess tell your daughter who just graduated college, right? However, that is such a big opportunity. Knowing what I know now, that's when you want to get in when markets are tough because
Absolutely.
agents leave, right?
I always see
So
those memes that I should have been buying in 2009 when I was like in
oh,
sixth grade. I love
exactly.
it.
If we all
I
had a
love it.
crystal ball. So
Right. Absolutely. So what's
fast
your favorite
forward.
part about your job? If you
as-
had to, if you had to,
Yeah, no. So basically, fast forward, it took me a few years to get into the business, to build up the courage to do it. But we actually had a Category 5 Hurricane Michael hit our area, and I knew that after hurricanes, real estate markets, it's kind of like a COVID market where there's supply and demand. So I knew the market was going to be just popping off, but like everything around me was destroyed. I couldn't live in my home for 10 months. I mean, I didn't know where. But all of a sudden, real estate didn't seem so scary because I'm like, if I can go through that, you can't do anything to me anymore. So then that's when I
right?
decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get into real estate and study for my license. I was licensed within months after that hurricane, and still trying to get back home and get my house repaired. We were living in because the beach was fine, so we were living in condo to condo to condo, and still trying to get our child to school, and we were going to work. But that's how I got started in this business. So I just want to say, if anyone's thinking about getting into real estate and they're seeing what the market's doing and that they're hesitating, listen, now is the time. Okay. And we have one life to live. Let's do it. Let's get over our fears and let's go. Right.
Take the leap. Take the leap. I love it. That's great advice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And not to cut you off there, my fault, but what is your favorite part about your job?
The most favorite part of my job is that it is limitless. Okay. Opportunities are everywhere. In my market, I just see opportunity. Beautiful condos, beautiful beach houses. I mean, even when I travel, I'm like, ooh, I'd love to sell that, right? So I love that there is no ceiling. The sky is the limit, and I can do as much as I want. Nobody's going to tell me, Rachel, you're going to make this much money per hour. No, there is no limit to it. So that is
Yeah.
and I love helping people. I love the losses too, because it makes the yeses so much better. So I
Wow.
kind of I
That's definitely
kind of
an
love it
approach that
all.
I've ever heard.
It's true though.
Absolutely.
Like we face so much rejection every day, and you got to be
Mhm.
tough. But I was made to do this. This is what I am supposed to be doing.
Well, good for you. That's amazing. It's such a rare quality. I feel like there's not many people that can say that about their career path, and good for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I feel
So
blessed to
like
have it.
you should, right? And I love this. I'm the same way. I'm in the same boat, right? And that's why we're here doing this. It's my work day today, which is awesome. And so, kind of to finish up this segment here, like if you had to say one thing, like what is the one thing that the audience like should know about you as a realtor and as a person as well?
Gotcha. So the one thing that I would tell anyone about, me is that I'm doing what I love doing. And when you find something that you absolutely love, it doesn't feel like work, right? And if anyone is thinking about getting into real estate and they're scared or they're nervous or there's any kind of doubts, so my journey in real estate, I started right after a Category 5 hurricane. Had a terrible split with that broker I was with. So my first year in real estate, I made 25,000. Year two, COVID happened. Okay, and I made 76,000. My third year in real estate, I mean, I pushed through. I was not watching Netflix during the COVID shutdown. I was on the phone calling, just saying, "Hey, how are you? Do you guys have toilet paper?" Just whatever to lighten the mood. But I just used that opportunity to build as many relationships with property owners in my market as possible. By year three, I made 234,000, and I just finished up my fourth year, and I made over 500,000. So
Wow, good for you.
anyone watching, I want you to know that if you're willing to take the leap, put in the work, and not give up, this career is limitless. And that's what I want anyone watching to know. Find something that you love and do it.
That's incredible. I heard like Seth Rogen talk about this the other day. I think it was Instagram, and he said like really the only way you fail is just to stop. Right? That's
Yep.
the only way that you fail. And I think that you're a perfect example of that, Instagram reel that I saw the other day. So awesome. Well, caveating from that into your market, right? Let's roll into the market minute. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions. I really want the audience to get to know your market the way it sounds like that you have, and obviously, I know you're crazy passionate about it. I see your Instagrams with the beaches and all that stuff. And so, let's kind of break it down, right? Can you break down some numbers for the county that you work in?
Absolutely. So I work in two different counties. I work in Bay County, which is Panama City Beach. That's my primary
Mhm.
focus. And then also Walton County. So, but it's South Walton County is what I really focus on. So I focus on the beach, which the beach is owned primarily by second homeowners and investors, which is my
Right.
bread and butter. I love working with these clients. So the both counties are quite large, but my niche is the vacation properties, the income generating properties. And that's what I
Mhm.
focus on. I say I sell the dream because I do live in such a beautiful area. And honestly, when I look at other parts of Florida, and of course I'm biased, I'm probably from I'm from here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But our sand is sugar white sand, like it is the consistency of sugar. Our water is so warm and it's beautiful, and I'm so passionate about this, but it's so easy to market my area, the area that I work in. So that is where I primarily focus. So Panama City Beach,
Nice.
this year, the median sales price is 430K, and that includes condos and houses and land.
Nice.
And then in the luxury market that I work in, which is South Walton County, also known as 30A, um, that average price point this year so far is 950K, and that's your median sales price in there. So
Absolutely.
now that ranges from $30 million Gulfront beach homes, down to condos that you can buy. But both markets have the opportunity to really satisfy anyone who does want to own a slice of heaven.
Absolutely. So, like, if you had to get, like, there's always doom and gloom, right? I always talk to my
Mhm.
clients. They love to listen to headlines. Oh, the real estate's this and that,
Uh,
right? How would
so
you describe like the market if you had to give like a rough, like, is your market healthy?
Yes, the market is strong. At the end of the day, no matter what's going on in the world, people want to come to the beach. And case in point, after COVID, we had people that were just had to be here. Like, and I think it was kind of like a PTSD, right? So people just wanted to look at the water. They wanted to be outside because it was safer. Um, so, even when it was scary, when the beaches were shut down, by the governor, it was an emergency order. That was a very scary time. And again, I stayed on the phone with property owners because they were scared too.
Right.
However, after that happened, I mean, it completely blew up and people really discovered my area. Um, but again, I've been all over Florida, and I'm telling you, you can get the most bang for your buck. We're right underneath Alabama, where I
Mhm.
am. So we have really good Southern food, Southern hospitality. It's just an undiscovered little hidden gem in Florida. And if you don't know about it, we need to talk.
Well, I think that's why we're talking right now because I want to get to know about it myself. I'm new to Florida and I love it so far, but man, I got to get up northwest and check out some of these
Where
Sugarway
are you
beaches
in
you're talking
Florida?
about. I'm down in Lakeland, Florida, is where I'm at.
Okay.
So I
Well,
love
if
it.
you
It's a little
come
bit
see me,
central.
you'll be moving.
Heck
No,
yeah,
I'm sorry. What were you
absolutely.
saying?
Yeah, so kind of the caveat, from that to into it sounds like you really focus, luxury condos, right? Would you say condos are like what's the most popular asset type like in your counties that you see?
So I do have a lot of condo listings, but I also sell luxury beach homes as well. Um, and that is the beauty of the types of properties that I sell. So there's a lot of investors out there that want to invest in properties that they can, for a few weeks out of the year come and enjoy themselves, right?
Mhm.
So why not have an asset that you can enjoy yourself? The money that can be made from short term vacation rentals is triple what you can make from long term
Of course.
rentals. So those are all things that my investors are looking at when they're looking at my market.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. I love that. And kind of last point here for the market minute, I want to, ask as an outsider investor, right? If I called you and said, Rachel, what's the best spot? Like your like, bread and butter spot as an investor. Like where would you send me as a client, like in that market?
So what I would tell an investor that is really wanting to cash flow, um, to be honest with you, and this is what I'm looking into as well personally, duplexes, which I know you own a duplex yourself. So you can
Absolutely.
get they're great investments. It's like a two for one, right?
Heck yeah.
It's beautiful. Um, but I think that the best type of investment that you can get here on the beach that will give you the best return on investment is something that is zoned for vacation rental. That's either a beach house or a
Mhm.
duplex that you don't have to pay HOAs or condo association fees. And, if you do it right, if you market your property right, like on Airbnb and VRBO, you have to be unique. There's a lot of competition out there. The potential for the income generation is astronomical.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I love that. I feel like I definitely have a good grasp of your market from all these different insights you've been giving me. So definitely thank you for that. And so what I want to do now is let's roll into the new segment here in it. And I like this one. It's called rapid fire, right? And so for this segment, I know we've kind of talked about, the differences in our businesses and all that. And so, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to ask me one back and let's just kind of, rapid fire back and forth. So really to start, I know let's just kind of focus a little bit more on the condo piece, right? Because that's kind of seems like your bread and butter with the luxury stuff, right? Um, you know, as a buyer, right? Like, how can a buyer effectively educate themselves on like the different pieces of buying a condo before they actually, want to talk to us and get into buying a condo?
Okay, so one thing that I've got to stress to anyone that's purchasing a condo, especially with finances, you need to use a lender that is familiar with this type of loan product. It is a specialty loan product. Also, although I do sell condos and I have a lot of condo listings, I also have luxury beach homes, 3-story beach
Nice.
homes with elevators that, can make 300K plus a year. Um, but with the condos, it is so important if you are going to be using financing, to be in touch with a lender. And I have several that I know and trust that have an excellent background in this. Get in touch with someone who knows this product and will give you the upfront costs. Um, because at the end of the day, and I hear this all the time from clients, well, my lender says that they are licensed in Florida, so they can write this. And I'm always very adamant. I'm like, look, just because they're licensed in Florida does not mean that they can write this type of loan. We have condos here, which are considered high risk investments for any bank. Okay, all banks
Mm,
consider them high risk investments. That's because, there's condo fees, there's also budgets. The HOA, the condo reserves need to be on point.
yeah.
You need to be aware if there's any upcoming assessments. And the lender is going to, if they haven't done their research on the building, the lender will find out
Oh
when
yeah.
it's too late, right? That
Oh yeah.
that the budget is not healthy and that it won't qualify for their requirements. So again,
Absolutely.
it's so important to use a lender that has closed in that building and has closed several in that building so that the buyer isn't left not without a condo and stuck with all the inspection and appraisal fees and no condo. Nobody wants that.
No, that's like the worst part of our industry, right? Like that's the worst of the worst. So
What,
we won't focus
underwriting?
on that. Well, hey, you're preaching to the choir over here, sister.
I
So
know it.
definitely feel you there. But what do you got for me for a question?
Okay, so I have several questions. I want to know, what's your background? Why are you in this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a finance nerd, as you and I have talked about. I got a finance bachelor's degree, one class away from my MBA as well. I'm a diehard small business fan. I think it's really the backbone of this country. And so, building wealth and all of that led me to real estate. I ended up house hacking, as we talked about, my first duplex. I was selling health insurance to small business owners at the time. And that led me to my now team lead, Chris. He did my loan and he just did it at such a high level. Up in New York, we have a lot of roadblocks with attorneys and things like that. And so,
Oh
you know
God,
how it
yes.
goes. Small towns, people give you bad
Thankfully,
advice. And
I don't have to deal with the attorney aspect, in the market that I'm in. But oh gosh, because we are a title state here. So no,
absolutely. Well, and that's, as we talked about, that's what led me to Florida. My girlfriend recently got into Florida Southern here in Lakeland for physical therapy. And so we
wow.
made the move 1,200 miles south from my hometown in Dexter, New York. And I'm just loving it so far. Moved down August 1st. It's the 18th currently. And there's no end in sight for me. I listen, I don't love the -20, but I can deal with the 90-degree heat. That's for sure.
All right. And the hurricanes.
And I haven't experienced that yet though, but I've gone through a couple blizzards and I'm not a fan of those myself. So awesome.
Right.
So let's roll into my next one for you. And you really kind of did touch on this a little bit, like with the education piece, but like say, listen, I call you, I want a condo. What's the real first step that you're going to say to somebody? You did kind of talk about the lending piece, but what does that process look like for you and your clients? The first step to get the ball rolling.
So anytime someone calls me and says, "Hey, Rachel, I want to buy this type of property," I always start with why, because that's going to let me help them. So there's people that buy investments down here for they want cash flow, they want ROI, right? Some
Don't we
people,
all?
of course. Well, not everyone, right? Some people just want a place to escape with their family. They don't want to use it as a rental. They don't care. They just want
Right.
to have a beach home. So, and that's a totally different animal. And then there are some people that, want to come and retire. So it's always important for me to understand why my client is wanting to purchase, because from there, I can help them find exactly what they want.
Love it. That's amazing. Yeah, and that's really, the why is such a I feel like that's a piece that so many agents just don't care about. They just,
Right.
"Oh, I've got a new client. I've got to do this, this, and this." You got
Let's
to
make a
understand your
sale.
client's needs. You got to understand the client's needs before you can satisfy your own. So I love that. That's awesome.
Exactly. And if it's going into the cash flow, the ROI, I'm going to talk to them about the expenses of a condo versus a home that, like I was telling you, that's a couple blocks away from the beach. Or if it's across the street from the beach, or if it's on the beach, but there are no condo fees, there are no HOAs that they are constantly having to contend with, right? They never go away and they usually go up.
Mhm.
So if I know that they're in this for the money and the cash flow, we talk about the different types of properties that they can purchase. I also work with a lot of builders. So sometimes they're looking for off market deals on land. So I do a lot of cold calling. That is primarily where I get all of my clients. But if I got an investor that's looking for a good deal on something, I'm going to find them something off market. And then with builders, the the lower cost on the land, the more money that they can make, on the other
For sure.
side.
For sure, and that's a huge thing right now with our supply issues that we've got going on. I mean, I know builders are trying to find anything they can, especially down here. I mean, moving down here from New York, there's not a whole lot getting built north, but down here, it's like everything is getting built. There's a development everywhere you look, I feel like. So
Hmm.
I definitely feel you there with the builders. Awesome. So what's the next question you've got for me today?
So I want to know what does your business look like? What are the types of people that you're helping? Um, and what are you doing to set yourself apart from all the other lenders out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I grew up next to Fort Drum, which is a big military base for the 10th Mountain Division of the Army. And so, our primary book of business really is helping those, first time buyers, military buyers with a VA loan. There's just so much stigma out there against it. In my personal opinion, it's the best loan product on the market. I love it. It really gives a unique opportunity for somebody who's put their life on the line for our country, something that I've never done, but really allows them to buy a home that a lot of other people who haven't done that can't afford, especially where prices are where they're at right now. So our business has definitely been primarily VA, helping those buyers out, and then we do everything, right. We've got I work in movement mortgage. We've got a phenomenal world class condo department. We have investment products, so I work a lot with investors as well. And as it goes, right, like pretty much anything we can try to get done. And if we can't, then I like to differentiate myself by looking at my competitors and just trying to partner with them actually and saying, hey, listen, like I do this really well. What do you do really well? And how can we work together? So that way, every time I get a referral from someone like you, they're going to have that referral is going to have a phenomenal experience because I'm going to send them to somebody that's just like me that does something that I can't. And so, really, I think that's how I try to differentiate myself. I look at everybody as an opportunity instead of, competition because I just really the only competitor I have is myself. And I
Amen.
look at, social media is obviously a huge thing. We're doing a podcast today. Never thought I'd ever be a podcast person, but here we are, right? Social media is the king, especially to people, really, my generation. I mean, this is how people find people. So I'm just trying to be present. I'm trying to educate as much as I can, just simple real estate terms, simple loan stuff, simple credit tips, the stuff that they don't teach us in high school. I feel is my job to try to teach, and that's what I've tried to do.
Yeah, there is so much to learn on that. Let me ask you this. Do you ever help your VA military buyers do any house hacking, especially with the duplexes?
Oh, I love that. That's a great question. So I actually did a video about this last week. And so that's like my favorite thing. That's one of the, a lot of times the VA, In New York, they come say from Hawaii, right? A Hawaii house is 950 grand, right? You come into our market, you get a beautiful home for $200,000 and they're blown away by that. But often what I'll do is an analysis on it and say, hey, listen, you don't, it's husband, wife, they're young, they don't have a family, don't have, any intention of having one for a couple of years. I talked to them about that duplex, right? I talked to them about that triplex or that quadplex because the VA, as long as you live in it for a year, they allow you to buy an investment property that's 4 units and under. And so when you really do the math for them and show them, hey, listen, you've got this money that comes in from the government, and then you have this other money that's called cash flow coming in, their eyes kind of just get a little wide, right? And they're like, oh my God, I didn't even think about this. So absolutely, I love to have those conversations with my VA clients. And I mean, I've seen some people high up in the military come with 3, 4, 5 rental properties that they've been able to buy, and they're just financially, they're just balling out, and I love it, and I love to see that. I'm all about building wealth, and I want everybody to win, so I definitely have those conversations quite a bit.
I love that. I love that because truly I want my clients to be making a wise choice with their investments. We want them to be happy. We want them to come back. And in building wealth, it really at the end of the day starts with real estate.
It really does. I mean, every you try to do different things and you look at different people, but I mean, you go look at all the billionaires and there ain't one that's doesn't have some real estate, right? And then that's just the truth. So
Exactly.
I love that. So kind of to gear it back more, away from me, back to you with the condo stuff. I know just learning condos on the loan side, right? Like there are so many intricacies that go into it, right? So as a real estate agent, like how do you navigate that? Like how do you navigate homeowners association fees and budgets and reserves and all that, like when you're advising your clients? And then what are some of the other things that they don't think about that you think they should be aware of?
Well, going back to we want our clients to be making wise investment decisions. So with my clients, I want them to know what they're getting into and to make sure that a condo is lining up with their expectations. You know as well as I do, interest rates are are quite high, the highest they've been in, decades.
At least a decade.
And
Yep.
yeah, and this is something that if someone is purchasing a condo using finance, I let them know, hey, you will be responsible for not only your mortgage payment, which will have a high interest rate, but also you will be contending with the condo fees, which are constant, the property taxes, and then you have your vacation rental income. And then when after all is said and done, you pay your mortgage, you pay the condo fees, you pay the property taxes, you pay a property manager and maintenance costs. I let them know straight up, look, you're doing well with a condo if you finance, you're doing well if you break even in the first 5 years. Like
Right.
that is an expectation that they need to be aware of. And sometimes I'll talk to people and they are thinking, no, I want to be making like 30K a year off of this. Well, that's not going to happen in this market the way that it is. It's not going to happen for the first 5 years. Now, the upside is that you're purchasing an asset that will continue to appreciate long term. Okay. And that as long as they're willing to wait and stay patient and basically are okay with basically hopefully breaking even, and then getting it paid off. And then that's going to be a piece of real estate that will cash flow. So I always want to make sure that they have the correct expectation that this is going to meet their needs. If not, let's go find something else. A condo may
Right.
not be right for everyone. But I also have cash buyers that, at the end of the day, they need tax write-offs. Okay.
That's
They need to be able
right.
to book some losses and they don't
Absolutely.
care whether or not it rents, right?
No,
So they're in the
absolutely.
position of, if we have a hurricane or a pandemic and they can't rent, it's going to be okay because they can
Right.
float it.
Absolutely.
So I just make sure that these investments are the right investments for my clients. I mean,
Yeah,
that's I feel is my job as a real estate agent to, make them aware of everything so that they can make
absolutely.
the best decision possible for them and their families.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. And that's so true, right? I mean, like I still can't get over the fact that there's still people investing in LA. Like how does anybody afford to invest in LA, right? But they're not getting cash flow. They're looking at the appreciation long term. They're looking at, hey, this is a beautiful spot on our planet, right? And that's what I feel like you've got your market. Like the weather ain't gonna change anytime soon. So people are gonna still want to avoid the blizzards like me, want to come down here. So I think that's just rock solid advice that you're giving there as well. Awesome. So, just one last question I've got for you. I think you've got at least one more for me, right?
Absolutely. All right, you want to go first?
Yeah, yeah, you go, and then we'll finish up with you, and then we'll move into our hot topic.
Okay. Another question I have is, how would you describe the market what are you seeing in your market right now with your clients? What kind of hurdles are they facing right now and how are you helping them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say competition really is the key. Even in this high interest rate market, as you said, right? Like I scream at the top of a rooftop, like, hey, listen, it's going to get worse. Like buying now is a solid move, and we'll talk about that more in the hot topic. But really, I just say competition is really the hardest part. And low inventory creates that. And so the idea that a family has waited for 5 years and now they're finally ready to find that dream home. That dream home was probably sold in 2020, 2021, and potentially even 2022. And so trying to get them to understand that, hey, listen, there are still homes coming for sale, but you may not get that, HGTV beautiful dream home, right off the bat, right? Maybe look at getting into a duplex, maybe look at getting into a triplex, something like that. And waiting out the storm because at the end of the day, real estate is cyclical, and we both know that, right? Markets go up, they come down, and it kind of rolls. So I just try to get my clients to understand that, like, hey, listen, are you comfortable with the budget right now? And if that's the case, awesome. We're going to try to make more money. That's the goal for all of us, right? And if you're comfortable right now and you want to wait it out the next couple of years, then there you go. Let the market kind of come back to normal a little bit. And then maybe you find that HGTV beautiful dream home.
I've got one last question for you because I
Yeah, what do you got?
know like in my industry there's a lot of competition, right, with other real estate agents and as well as
Mhm.
lenders. Um, what sets you apart from everyone else and why should a prospective buyer use you to help them purchase their home or investment?
Yeah, and honestly, really, like you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about the lenders you want to work with, right? Um, I'm kind of known not to be, I'm not going to BS you, right? I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to look at your documents. I'm not going to give you a pre-approval unless I know you're going to close, because at the end of the day, why would I set anybody up for failure, right? I'm not the type of person, you're not going to show up to the closing table and have $10,000 come out of nowhere, right? We're very thorough up front and all of that. And listen, some people hate us for that, and that's okay. Maybe I'm not the right person to work with everyone. But at the end of the day, we go leaps and beyonds above for our clients. I mean, my girlfriend will tell you how many phone calls I've taken on a Sunday night after 7. And you know what I'm talking about, right? That buyer that
Oh
just
yeah.
is, they're nervous. They're nervous, right? And as I said,
Yes.
like there's not a lot of education out there, and the education that's out there is fear usually. And
Hmm.
so for me, I pride myself on taking those calls, making sure, using tie downs. Does that make sense? I'm not going to throw the kitchen sink at you. I want you to understand the process. I want you to understand the fees. I want you to understand when you close, this is what it's going to cost you. This is what the mortgage payment looks like. I'm not a sleazy salesman. I want to be your lender for life. I want to be a part of your life. I'm going to call you on your birthday and wish you happy birthday. That's the kind of clients that I want. And I think maybe that differentiates us a little bit from, say just a, pop up mortgage shop. And look into Movement Mortgage, the company I work for. We're what's called an impact lender. It's just absolutely incredible the stuff that we do. On the back end, it's honestly an honor to be a part of this company that I work for. I kind of tripped and fell into it, but I'm grateful every day. We build schools with the profits from our loans and all that. And I'm not going to bog down the podcast with all that stuff, but definitely anybody listening to this, please look into Movement Mortgage and the Movement Foundation and what we do. And I think that choosing us over a competitor could be the difference on, getting a backpack on a kid that needs to go to school. And so I think that's pretty cool as well.
And I think that's definitely something that differentiates you from the competition, is that you're very relationship focused and you're wanting to, at the end of the day, help your client do what they want to do. And it's not the sales aspect of it. And that is what will give you longevity in this business, even in the real estate side of things too. I have
Yeah,
people that change their minds, and I'm okay with that. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm here to help people do what they want to do.
Mhm.
Whatever I want, it does not matter. Okay.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that's how
Yeah.
I treat my business.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, listen, in our business, the higher the price, the better. But I often talk clients down off price because it doesn't make sense in their budget. I look at everything, and at the end of the day, like, I would rather take a lower paycheck and have you be happy than have a
And come
paycheck
back.
that and come back, right? Exactly. Like that's the goal. That's the idea. Text me anytime. I'll answer your questions, things like that. Movement also services our loans, so that helps us a ton because often
Oh,
clients will have something with
yeah.
their escrow will be a little off. Movement does my loan as well, so I had the same issue. But our servicing department's world class. They get back to people, they email, they answer calls. It's incredible. So stuff like that I think definitely helps us as well. But kind of like rolling into what we're talking about here, misconceptions, things like that. You know, in terms of you get these calls all the time. You work with these investors, right? And so what's common like a common misconception about like investing but in a condo, right? Cuz like I've never thought like condo because in my market there's really no condos up in northern New York in my old market, right? So like if I called you and said, Rachel, I'm looking to invest and I want to invest in something, but I don't love condos. What's like the common misconception that you get that you'd like to debunk?
About condos. Hmm. I
And just
don't
investing in
necessarily have.
condos, right? Like that it's a bad investment.
Oh, gotcha. Well, it depending on what type of a buyer you are and what your expectations are, it may be a bad investment for someone who
Mhm.
is just. And again, it just depends on your financial situation, your expectations, and your goals. Okay. But if you look
Mhm.
at the market, right, long term, it's every real estate appreciates. Okay. And yes, we had a recession, and that was the I guess exception to the rule. But still, I've had people that have had their condos, they bought right before the crash and have held them and have made money off of them. And then, after COVID, they had equity and they were able to, make money. And then when they sold, and made money while they owned the condo. So real
Absolutely.
estate is a long game. And you have to look at it like that.
Yeah. I always say like base hits, right? Like, listen, the teams that win baseball games, they don't hit 10 home runs. They hit, 10, 20, 30 base hits, right? And I look at real estate the same way. Like my duplex, it wasn't anything fancy, but that's a base hit for my wealth long term. And I think that that's solid
Absolutely.
advice.
And
Awesome.
years from
Well,
now, when it's you get the passive income from it, right? 3K a month for doing nothing other than owning that asset that's making you money. That's going to be able to set you apart. And then you can refinance, use the equity you have in your duplex, and then go buy another one, and then stack it
absolutely.
up like that. And it is a long game. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so proud
Cool.
of you for making that leap,
Well,
and
thank you.
looking forward to seeing all the other things that you add to your portfolio.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And those were great questions. And I really love doing that rapid fire with you. I think you and I have a great back and forth, right? So let's roll into kind of, our second to last segment here. And this one's going to be my favorite, right? And I know you and I have talked about this. And so this is going to be our hot topic discussion here, right? And so for the hot topic, I've got a great one for you. Okay. In this high interest rate market, like we've talked about, are you recommending your clients buy now or wait until interest rates come down, and why?
So I mean, it all depends on why they're buying, right? And that's always my first question. And as long as everything checks out and they're able to afford this, I'm actually personally looking to purchase another investment property myself. Yes, interest rates are high, and it is, the buying options are low, inventory is still quite low, but just crunching the numbers and going ahead and getting in there, all the now, aside from the national news and the media that is quite doom and gloom, when you talk to, and at least when I talk to the real estate experts that are, this is what they do and know, prices are projected to go up next year. And so affordability, I feel, is going to only get worse, because this is not 2008. Anyone who is purchasing something with a loan is qualified, and they are vetted, and they can afford it. So get in now, because this market, it's hard to say, right? Is it a seller's market because of low inventory? Or is it kind of a buyer's market because there aren't a lot of people buying right now? They're all sitting on the sidelines just waiting, but they're all thinking the same, right? And so if interest rates, and we don't know what they're going to do, nobody does, right? But if interest rates do dip for any sort of reason, everyone will be jumping on the bandwagon again, and prices will go up. So this is something I'm telling people, and even myself, okay? If you can buy right now, do it, because you can always refinance later. But at the end of the day, you're purchasing property that is going to be appreciating long term. So if you can do it, and this is the right time for you financially, get it done.
Absolutely. My take on that is always, there's a saying, date the rate, marry the home. Right. And
Mhm.
so, if you're back to what we were talking about before, and I didn't want to take my piece from earlier, but, you know, you might not be able to find that dream home. Right. But if you do right now, and you let a 7%, 7.5% interest rate stop you from buying it, well, you're probably not going to be able to afford to buy it the next time around. Because as you said, there are thousands and thousands of people, and there's some crazy statistics that I could drop, but I'll just keep it simple, right? There's thousands of people who are waiting on the sidelines that think because they're waiting that they're smart. But here's what's going to happen. We're at record low supply levels. I'm not sure if you agree, but I don't think that they're going to come up at record levels like they were in '08, where we had so much supply, but we had no demand. And that's what created the crash. We're at the opposite right now. We have steady demand and we have no supply. And so for
Mm.
me, I think, hey, listen, if you can get in right now, even with the 7.5 rate, get in, refi when rates come back down, and eventually they will. I don't know when they are either. I wish I had a crystal ball,
Maybe.
right? But
I mean, we don't
right,
know, but you'll be kicking yourself if they go up and you didn't purchase and now they're up 10%. You will be kicking
absolutely,
yourself if you don't.
absolutely,
Now, I will
absolutely.
say, and this is just my perspective from, I obviously my client base are property owners. So another reason why inventory is so low is because that we've got record numbers of people that have mortgages on their properties. I read a statistic the other day: 9 out of 10 property owners with mortgages have interest rates below 5%,
Yep.
and 1 out of 4 had interest rates below 3.
Yeah.
So what you're dealing with is sellers are not wanting, if they don't have to sell, they don't want to sell, because if they do, there will be, the affordability is really hard. So that's also causing the inventory shortage. It's a double-edged sword. It's impacting buyers and sellers. Now,
Hmm.
sometimes sellers still have to, life changes. People, have health
People move.
reasons, or they change jobs. Yeah, they move, right? So sometimes sellers have to sell. But while everyone's waiting on the sidelines, get with a good agent that's going to negotiate on your behalf. Get with a knowledgeable lender like yourself, Colin, who is going to be open and honest and upfront about these costs, and do it while everyone else is just waiting around.
Yeah, I mean, you can't let the world pass you by. I mean, right? Like in getting in the real estate industry is like literally jumping into the deep end of the pool and not knowing how to swim sometimes, right?
Mhm.
But you learn how to swim and you
Yeah,
figure it out, and then boom, you
you
get it
better.
done, right? I would rather, I'd rather be sitting on my back porch of my home that I love, instead of living in an apartment, right? And waiting and waiting and waiting for rates to come down. Like you said, maybe they never do come down. If they never do come down, what did you wait for? I'd rather be sitting there filling out refinance paperwork while all the sharks are circling the one property on the block that's for sale versus, right now there still is, like you said, there's still deals out there. And if you get with a rock
Yeah.
solid agent that understands their stuff, like deals are done in every market. I don't care. Like even in '08 and '09, like you said, I don't know. I read a statistic. There was like so many billionaires that exist right now were created because of the crash of '08 and '09. When everybody else was running from real estate, they bought and they've held and they've built wealth. So I don't know. I think we're both in agreement there. Like, at the end of the day, interest rates, not great, but I'll tell you what, if they do come down, right? If, and the supply doesn't come up, prices are going to go up and demand is going to skyrocket, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to get an offer accepted on a home than it is right now. That's kind of my hot take.
I agree with you completely.
Awesome. So that was fun. I love that little segment there. So now, let's kind of wrap things up here a little bit. Let's roll into closing time. So, really for this, I just, first I want to say thank you for being on this podcast. It means the world to me. As we've talked, we're both social media savvy, and this is going to be great for clips and things like that. But definitely had a lot of fun
Thank you
chatting
for
with you
having me.
today. And really, two last questions for you. And these are kind of geared more towards people where I was about 3 years ago, right? Thinking about getting into real estate, but not 100% sure. What's the best piece of advice that like you've got from somebody in real estate when it comes to real estate?
So, the best piece of advice or the mindset that someone needs to have is that, you have to be okay with no and doing what people want to do when they want to do it. Okay. That is priority number one. But build as many relationships with property owners in your market as possible. And, you've got to put yourself out there, whether that's phone calls, social media, a combination of both. Like what I see you do. We became friends on social media, but you were very proactive and like you made a point like, hey, let's collaborate, let's do this. And I think that that's an amazing tool that you can do in this business, whether you're in lending or in real estate. But
Absolutely.
competition doesn't exist. At the end of the day, there is no other Rachel Warrell, right? And there is no other Colin Parody. So it's our job to do what we can do to help as many people as possible when they're ready.
Absolutely, man. That's stellar advice. I love that so much. And so kind of rolling from advice, right? You know, it, everybody's a big. Some people are book junkies, some people are podcast junkies, some people are YouTube videos, right? Whatever your choice for learning is, right? What do you
Mhm.
recommend? Do you recommend a book or a podcast or anything like that for newcomers to real estate to listen to or to read?
So for newcomers to real estate, like if you don't know anything about how to build your business, my biggest anything Ricky Caruth is good. He's got free coaching on zero to diamond.com. And truth be told, that is how I learned to build my business. I followed it to a T. And it's free. So
Awesome.
it's
I love
yeah.
that. It's my favorite
So
word.
right, but truly it is free. Now, what's not free is your work ethic and your mindset and your ability to keep yourself going even if you're having an off day, right? And to not give up. So, I mean, be honest with yourself and say, hey, am I the type of person that will not quit and even on the tough days? And and if you are and you want to do this, then do it. There's no reason why you can't, as long as you put in the
Yeah,
work. Um, some people are better suited for a 9 to 5. They like having their Saturdays and Sundays They like clocking out at 5, and that's okay. My husband is like
Right.
that. He's an engineer. There's no way he could do my job. There's no way I could do his job. Right. So
Yeah,
you really
absolutely.
have to know yourself.
For sure. Awesome. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough, Rachel, for taking the time. I know you're super busy, so getting an hour of your time has been fantastic. I really appreciate you so much. As you said, we connected on social media. I know where you're at. I follow you everywhere. But for the audience, like, where can everybody find you online? What's your social media handles?
Okay, so Instagram, I'm very active on Instagram. It's my name, Rachel Warrell, Realtor on Instagram, and also TikTok as well. I'm on YouTube, Rachel Warrell Sells, and LinkedIn. Like, I'm everywhere. You Google me, it'll pop up.
Oh, yeah.
But Instagram is where, especially if you're thinking about getting in the business, I always document my day and I document my grind. So if you want to follow me along every day, Instagram stories is where I'm at. And then Colin, what about you? Where can people find you and your amazing content?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I really, I'm at Close with Colin pretty much everywhere. And I'll definitely put the links down below in the description on YouTube for everybody to be able to find you all over the place: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that. But same thing, right? I'm on Instagram. I try to, post, really, for me, I try to post one thing, a week for now, just education based. And I really try to every day on stories. I mean, I just love, there's so many accounts out there that are just mindset focused, wealth focused. And so, same thing, follow through my stories. You're going to see some nuggets of solid information that I see every day. And YouTube, the same, right? At Close with Colin. And, I also have at the Andy Oreo lending team is our team channel. We've got a phenomenal amount of content there. It's all education based. It's all, not trying to sell anybody anything, just really trying to inform and educate. So awesome.
I do have one last question for you.
Yeah. What do you got?
Okay, so if someone is right on the edge of wanting to find out if, buying is for them, what's your best piece of advice for someone to prepare in order to buy? Number one piece of
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're preparing to buy, number one, understand where your credit is, right? Do you have a couple credit cards? Do you have a car loan? Do you have a mortgage, right? If you don't have any of those things and you pay for everything in cash, the chances are your credit score might not be very high. Take a look at that, right? We look at what's called the mortgage score. So it's a little bit different than what you'd see, like, say, on Experian. But Experian's a great guide to really give you a good idea. And if you don't have anything, look at Experian Boost. It's super simple. I know you're paying a cell phone bill. Everybody does. I know you're paying, some power bills, things like that. It go ahead and it adds that to your credit report. So that'll help build it. But really, building the credit, saving some money. I like to advise my clients, anywhere from 5 to 15 grand you want to have saved up just in case, homeowners association fee comes out of nowhere, something like that. And also, hey, have you been working for 2 years? You really want to make sure you have a 2-year work history. In this tough rate environment, underwriters are really cracking down. And so what they want to see is they want 2 years of work history. They love to see salaries. They love to see 40 hours a week, right? So just try to work as many consistent 40-hour weeks in a 2-year span as you can. And I think you really will be in good shape to buy, really, in any market across the U.S. Obviously, price points differ, but those are the general pieces of advice that I give to my clients.
Good advice. Thank you for that.
Awesome.
Experian.com.
Yeah. Experian Boost. Look
That's
it up.
Experian Boost. I learned that today. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any sort of advice I could give you, Rachel, I love to give it because you gave me plenty today. I learned a lot about that market up there, and that's definitely the point of this. So again, I just want to say thank you so much. Anybody watching, link down in the description below. I'll have all Rachel's stuff there. Definitely check her out. She's phenomenal on Instagram, and then all over the place, really. So, Rachel, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a good weekend because it's Friday.
Yay. Or Monday, whatever.
Yeah,
It's all
they're all
Monday.
7 days for us, right? Doesn't matter. Call me
Yeah.
tomorrow. I'll answer my phone. So I totally get you there. But well, listen, Rachel, I hope you have a good day, and thanks everybody for listening.